Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Wiley, and welcome to my Cave of Chaos, also known as the Garage. The purpose of today's video is to do an in-depth look at my first 30-pound combat robot, Toolbox. Here he is. We'll go into him a little bit more depth in just a moment. So the competition took place in September of 2021 at the Norwalk Havoc Robot League in Norwalk, Connecticut. This was our first competition, first robot, first time doing anything like this, so it was a wonderful experience and we learned a lot. This video will cover our experience at the event through all of our competitions, the damage that happened, and a breakdown. We'll also talk about some of the things that we plan on changing for our next robot and just some other tips and tricks along the way.
Toolbox started off as some plywood, some scrap aluminum, some drill motors, and some bike chain. The idea was simple. If the horizontal spinner failed, just start spinning in circles and see what happens. Later he got built into a toolbox. This allowed him to be able to be operational if he got flipped over.
Toolbox is certainly an interesting robot built out of a toolbox. It got the attention of a lot of people. We had a lot of questions, and we also got a shout out.
Interesting robots to watch today. Your thoughts going in.
Personally, I'm really excited about that 30-pound bracket today. We've got some really strange new robots that are coming in there. We've got a really cool build that I saw in the 30-pound division called Toolbox. It is literally a toolbox with a tail and an undercutter horizontal spinner on it. It looks amazing. It looks exactly like what you want to see at one of these competitions. I can't wait to see how it does.
So we got all geared up and we're finally ready to do our first competition, and our competitor had to forfeit. So did we win? Did we not? I don't know. I take it as a win. Moving forward, we got to actually have our first fight against none other than Emulsifier. If you look really close at the team jerseys, you might recognize them from a BattleBots team. Yeah, we were petrified. So I'll let this video speak for itself. Roll camera.
This is run by Team Bots FC that runs Shatter on BattleBots.
Toolbox, a powerful undercover spinner.
Oh no!
And now it is in
goodness!
Yeah, it wasn't good. We were hoping to last longer than 5 seconds, but that didn't happen. So as you could see, that fight was over very quickly. We had one nice impact. We did do some damage to their weapon, which you can see in this photo. You can see that they did just a little bit more damage to us. In fact, this was our drivetrain when we were done. Yes, this was supposed to be straight. It was no longer. And this is the pieced together leftover wheel. It basically exploded and fractured. The only thing that's holding this together is the rubber on the outside. Also, the weapon, you see, we got one hit off, and that's because the impact was so severe that the weapon drive shaft turned into an S. Again, not supposed to be this way. And the weapon itself was no longer flat. If you can see this here. Yeah, it's got a little bit of a bow to it. Oh, and this was made out of 1/2-inch laser cut AR500, by the way. It survived one hit from Emulsifier. So, yeah. The damage to the drivetrain was significant. It is worth pointing out that the guys with Emulsifier came over to us afterwards, wanted to inspect the damage, were gracious enough to let me take the picture of the damage that we did to their robot, asked if we needed any help. They seemed legitimately concerned that we weren't going to be able to compete anymore. Fortunately, we were able to completely rebuild that entire half of the drivetrain. To kind of put things in perspective, we had our top chassis laser cut out of 6160 aluminum, and the damage was so severe that it completely bent this section up. Fortunately, because it's 6061, we were able just to beat it back into submission and get everything rebuilt. It took us about an hour. It felt like 10 minutes, but it was about an hour, and we were able to get back in the ring for our second competition against CityBot. CityBot, built out of plywood, seems, or some sort of a wood composite, with a horizontal spinner that was mounted down at about a 45-degree angle, kind of like a Ghost Raptor. And we came into this competition not really being too worried. We just wanted to get a hit and like make it through the entire match without imploding after 8 seconds. So here's what happened.
We've got Toolbox, the return of Toolbox. And what is this? CityBot?
CityBot against Toolbox.
Yes, two very weird robots.
Yes.
We've already got like a little surrender bot in the box already. Got this kind of angled horizontal spinner in CityBot. And look at this. Look at this pitiful little mini bot.
It's a surrender bot.
It's like Eeyore.
What is the locomotion on that? It's like crawling like a little caterpillar.
Yeah, I noticed that in the last fight. I really don't know what's going on with
I guess I'll fight if I have to.
Yeah,
Yeah, it looks like a cranky old man. That's good.
gotta love the surrender bot flag.
Yeah, wow.
Gotta get home, Wicked Tuna's on.
Wow, against a Toolbox on wheels. I love this sport. I love it when it gets weird.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Fight, robots, fight.
Oh, all right. We're seeing this thing spin up now.
Okay, the
Both
spin
bots
is
spun
good on
up,
CityBots.
You can see Toolbox is legitimately just a toolbox with a tail and a horizontal spinner.
Oh,
And CityBot,
he's got to get out of the way. He's got to get out of the way.
I mean, neither of these weapons are spun up right now.
Yeah, both of the weapons are down here on Toolbox and CityBot. CityBot's coming back. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's about to shake itself apart,
Yeah,
Kyle.
this looks very Apex-esque. Yeah, that weapon. Look how off kilter that weapon is, right? It's it was a cross before, and now it is more of a.
It's an X.
Yeah.
It's a lowercase X, Kyle.
I was gonna say
no!
it looks more like an X chromosome now. It's like,
That was my flag.
Wow. I have to say that I love the creativity of walking into a Home Depot, looking at the Toolbox section, and just being like, yeah, I could turn that into a robot.
yeah, just some Coulson wheels in a toolbox. That's your whole body, and then you fabricate the tail and the weapon, and you're good to go. I love it.
Toolbox is
Wow.
trying to go melty brain.
The Toolbox is successfully going melty brain, Chris.
Yeah, I'd say it's successfully going melty brain as much as they can with a non-melty brain design.
How would you describe this? Melty brain, flailbot, Kyle?
Yeah, melty brain flailbot. I don't know. There's not really a flail on it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's got that weird tail. All right, a minute 20 left. Strangest fight that we've seen so far,
Pretty strange.
but I love it.
Yeah, two weird bots. The weirdest bots in the 30-pound division for sure.
Losers bracket round 2. 60 seconds left here. Golly, I would love to talk to the loser of this fight. I don't care who it is. I think they're both pretty awesome, all right?
Yeah, this one's definitely going to go to the judges, so I hope they're paying very close attention and can give us some really good thoughts on what's going on here, because I have no idea.
Now, Toolbox, kind of concerningly, is just twisting there in the corner. I wonder if one of its drive sides is down.
Have one of these builders. So I'm gonna head off to the exit stage. See you guys in a bit.
Good. All right, Chris. I'm looking forward to it. 20 seconds left in this match. This one will very likely go to the judges. Three, two, one. That's the match. Turn off your drive. If you can make your way to the door, try and do that. This one will go to the judges.
Please explain to us what happened in that fight, guys. I just need to know.
All right.
Andrew, would you mind just putting some thoughts? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah. Looking at the rules here, control is how controllable this robot is able to translate across the arena and how it attacks. Toolbox had the opportunity. Looks like both their drive sides were working and they were just spinning in place. While CityBot was trying, even though it had a damaged drive, it couldn't move as well. It was at least trying to pursue the opponent. I think damage is equal. Both weapons were down. I'm going CityBot on this one.
Okay. All right. Don, can you enlighten us as to your thoughts on this?
Not at all. So the Toolbox was able to get to the one end of the arena and won the only type of clash that there was. Then its weapon died. And then they both turned into melties. It's a very, very exciting match from one. I don't know. If I had a coin, I would flip it right now and tell you the winner, but or my choice. But I guess based on the only clash box.
Toolbox, is that right?
Yep.
So wait, Andrew went with CityBot. Don went with Toolbox. It's another split decision.
Yeah.
Jack?
So Jack, turn off your mute and tell us who won.
It's fine. I'm not muted this time.
Oh, I thought I'd get ya.
Fight. No, not this time. But there's a few more fights to get through, so I imagine it will happen at least one more time. So my vote goes to CityBot purely because although both weapons weren't spinning by the end of it, after that first engagement, the weapon motor was obviously still spinning the bar on CityBot.
Right.
It was just unbalanced.
Yeah.
So they still had the underlying system working, and Toolbox just sitting there not making any engagements and not actually doing anything while their opponent had like damaged drive. It really hurt them in both control and aggression. So CityBot takes it for me.
All right.
Jack convinced me, like in that. That was very persuasive. Thank you.
All right, so we have CityBot with a split judge's decision.
Disappointing. Yeah, disappointing. It was good to get through the entire 3 minutes. It's always interesting going to a judge's decision. It was a split decision, so at least one of the judges didn't hate us. We did inflict damage to the opponent, but obviously it wasn't enough. And again, the impact that we landed on them damaged us more than them. In fact, while the drivetrain completely blew apart, we still don't know why. We're going to take it apart with you now and find out. But you'll also see that the weapon was damaged again, and the weapon shaft was damaged again. And this is about the same time that the guys from Emulsifier came over, gave us a few pointers, and the biggest pointer they gave us was our weapon drive shaft was way undersized. So that'll be another thing that will improve on version 2.0. The competition was so much fun. We'll be definitely going back with our new bot soon. We obviously made at least enough of an impression that they asked us to do a little bit of an interview, and I'll show you that now.
Hoping that we can get possibly an interview with Toolbox.
I'd like that.
If they haven't exited through the green room. Hello,
we
Chris.
Found him.
Hey,
Chris,
right,
can you hear us? Here we go. This is
Can you hear me?
Toolbox.
Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
All right. Well, I'm here with Toolbox. I'd help you hold it, but I haven't had all my shots. All right, would you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. My name's Chris Wiley from Florence, Kentucky, and this is my first robot, first competition, and
Yeah.
it's been a lot of fun.
All right, round of applause for first robot, first competition. Chris.
Wow, he
yes.
jumped in at 30 pounds. That's awesome.
I would love to know, like, you know, what was the thinking behind the Toolbox?
gosh, I started doing the design process, and I needed to do it as affordably as possible. And honestly, while I was coming up with designs, I kept looking across my office, and there was this toolbox. So it was like, oh, well, if I build into a box, the skin's done. So now I just need to have a good drivetrain and a weapon that doesn't break. And there you go.
I know that you picked up one judge's vote, because you had great drive there at the end. Are we going to be seeing Toolbox version 2.0, at a future Norwalk Havoc?
I've already received some wonderful feedback from the community here, and I'm definitely going to take those ideas and make something that doesn't break so easily.
Chris Wiley, congratulations on going 2 fights here in the big box at Norwalk Havoc, and loved seeing Toolbox. Hope to see it again soon. And round of applause for a rookie. I love that.
One thing, he came here, he was pretty overweight. He was 1.5 pounds overweight. He had to strip out all of that weight before he went into his first match.
By drilling holes in the top of the
cutting
toolbox,
as much out of it as he could.
Really?
He had
Okay.
it back in the machine shop here, just cutting pieces out, doing what he could, taking every bit of weight he could out of that thing to get himself into the weight class.
Awesome.
So he's had the full gamut of experiences.
The full
here today.
Norwalk experience.
Yeah, really the full Norwalk experience, minus the lipo battery fire. He hasn't been there yet, but
yes, exactly.
We'll try next time.
Okay, this is enough talking. Let's go ahead and dive into Toolbox. I'll show you how he was built, and we'll find out together what failed during that last match. Okay, let's dive in. So you can see inside, it's a little bit more complex than you would guess. We have our speed controllers for our weapon system. We have dual 50/50 brushless motors. The battery pack sits over here. Obviously, that was removed prior to transport. That was held in place with some TPU print and some foam padding. The battery didn't explode, didn't catch on fire, so we did a good job there. Moving inside here, the drivetrain failed. Well, that side's still working. It must be over here. Oh, yeah. Okay. This side failed, so we'll figure out what's going on. I have no idea, but I have a sneaky suspicion. But let's dive in. There we go. So this was HDPE, high density polyethylene. And oddly enough, this piece here that was forcefully removed or impacted was the only impact outside of our wheel getting destroyed that we received. The rest of this carnage was self-inflicted. So we'll look at the weapon here in a moment, but just heads up, it's not supposed to be bent like this. So we'll get to that. And for anyone who's wondering, yes, this was the original lock for the box, and no, it did not hold the lid on. It was just for show. Okay, so this piece it was just a 3D printed component. Its sole purpose in life was to keep the electronics or any other debris that might be floating around from interfering with the drive belt. Oh, wow. That is some significant damage on the outside of the housing there. I think I see what the problem is. A little trick that I learned from reading the old books was to throw a magnet somewhere in here to catch metal shavings. And boy, it did. So here's our Waiachi switch, and that worked just great. You can see this all got banged up pretty good. Here we are. Oh, yeah. Well, there's the problem. Our little receiver, it looks fine. And speed controller for the right side, looks good. Speed controller for the left side, looks good. But this is a problem. Woo! Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh, that's chunky. Yeah, that did not do well. That is a lot of chewed up aluminum. Yeah, that's aluminum. What it appears, yeah, the mounting screws that held it into the mainbot let go, and that caused some pretty significant charring on the inside. Yeah, I mean that's pretty gross. I'd say that that motor is toast. And from here, you can see more of how the drivetrain works. You can see that normally the brushless motor goes into a 16:1 gear reduction with a planetary system by Bainbots out of Colorado, good company, which then drives the chain to the axle. And the reason for this was to have some separation from the axles and the motors and the gear systems, because these are expensive and these are cheap. So when this exploded and had to be rebuilt, obviously there was a problem over here. So this was the side that got hit by emulsifier and had to be completely redone. Boy, is it got a lot of slack in there. This side was fine, but obviously the impact created some issues. So, yeah. Obviously a very complicated teardown. Way more complicated than it should be. So that's something that we'll improve on with version 2, is to make this a much simpler experience. Let's go ahead and flip it over. The tail and the weapon here. So this obviously isn't right. That obviously has problems. The weapon itself seems to be okay. And what's really misleading is all this damage. And this was all self-inflicted. When the bar came spinning through and got bent, it just came up and caught itself right there. In fact, at the end of the match with Emulsifier, the weapon was completely locked up and we couldn't move it. The second time we had the issue, it bound up over here and got locked. So all of this, including all of this damage here, was caused by our own weapon. Not good. The tail sits in the back and it just slides into place and has a shoulder bolt that holds it in. So that's removable. This was a fun piece. I milled this completely on my BobsCNC Evolution 4, and it was a fun project, and I look forward to using that to do more things like this. So, what will be different in Toolbox version 2? Well, Toolbox will still be a toolbox, but not literally built out of a toolbox. Instead, its entire chassis will be designed with a tab and slot technique using a combination of 6160 aluminum and AR500. Also, the drivetrain will be completely different. No chains, no sprockets, no belts. It'll be gear driven and it'll be external. There will not be any kind of a live axis. The weapon system will be significantly upgraded. It'll actually be done smaller. The weapon itself will be smaller. The weapon itself will also weigh less, but the drive system for it, the motors, and the shaft that it'll be mounted on will be improved by about 100%. So hopefully that helps. And everything's going to be laser cut over at Suncut Sun down in Paris, Kentucky. And we're really looking forward to showing you what it looks like. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more updates on Toolbox and the other silly little projects that we do, please consider subscribing by clicking down below. Also hit that little bell for the notification so you can find out when we post another video. Other than that, have a great day, and we'll see you next time.